You take 20 minutes to pick what to eat for lunch. A fighter pilot makes 200 decisions before breakfast at Mach 2, upside down with someone trying to kill them. Most people think pilots are born with superhuman reflexes. Wrong. The average fighter pilot has the same reaction time as you, same brain, same hardware. The difference, sure, they run a cognitive operating system that makes hesitation impossible. John Boyd was a terrible student, nearly flunked out of school. Then he became the greatest fighter pilot in American history. They called him 42nd Boyd. He had a standing bet. Start from any position of disadvantage, and he'd have you defeated in 40 seconds. He never lost, not once. I reverse engineered his entire system. Interviews, military debriefs, flight logs. It comes down to 3 weapons. And by the end of this, you'll never make a decision the same way again. Chapter 1. The OODA loop. You think decision making is about thinking harder. Wrong, it's about thinking faster, not rushing, faster. There's a difference, idiot. Boyd discovered something that changed modern warfare. He called it the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. 4 steps. Every decision you'll ever make follows this loop. The problem? Most people get stuck on step 2. They observe fine, they see the information, but then they orient, they overthink, they weigh every option, they spiral, then 20 minutes later still picking lunch. Fighter pilots compress this loop. They don't think faster because they're smarter. They think faster because they preloaded the decisions. Before a mission, they've already decided. If X happens, I do Y. If Z happens, I do W. They don't decide in the cockpit. They decided last night. Your version? You wake up and react to everything. Every email is a new crisis. Every decision starts from zero. Pilots wake up and execute. The decisions were made yesterday. Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize explaining this. He called it System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, instinctive. System 2 is slow, deliberate, exhausting. Most people run System 2 all day. Every decision burns energy. By 3 p.m. your brain is fried. You can't decide what to have for dinner because you already made 35,000 decisions today. Pilots offload everything to System 1. They build pattern libraries so massive that the right answer just appears. No thinking required. And here's how you steal this. Tonight, write down the 5 decisions you make every single day. What to eat, what to wear, when to work out, what to do first at work. Decide them all right now. Tomorrow, 0 decisions, just execution. Boyd compressed his OODA loop so tight that opponents couldn't keep up. They were still observing while he was already acting. They were still orienting while he was already 3 moves ahead. That's not speed, that's architecture. But here's the problem though. Fast decisions are useless if they're wrong. You need to see what others miss. That's where the second weapon comes in. Chapter 2. Pattern stacking. A rookie pilot sees a radar screen full of blips, chaos, overwhelming. A veteran sees one story. 3 bogies, flanking, formation, eastbound, descending, same screen, completely different reality. The rookie sees data. The veteran sees patterns. This is identical to how surgeons see symptoms. Novice sees 10 random facts. Expert sees 1 diagnosis. Gary Klein studied this for decades. He called it recognition primed decision making. He found that firefighters, ICU nurses, and military commanders almost never compare options. They don't weigh pros and cons. They recognize the situation, match it to a pattern they've seen before, and act. First pattern match wins. Klein found they were right 80% of the time. 80%. Faster than analysis. More accurate than deliberation. Your brain already does this. You don't analyze every face you see. You recognize your friend in a crowd instantly. Same mechanism. Pilots just train it deliberately. Here's how they build the library. After every single flight, they debrief. Not a quick chat. A brutal hour-long dissection of every decision they made. What did I see? What did I miss? What would I do differently? The U.S. Air Force calls this the most important hour in a pilot's day. Not the flight, the debrief. Most people never debrief anything. You finish a presentation, you close the laptop, done. No review, no extraction. You just experienced something your brain could learn from and you threw it away like garbage. Pilots extract the pattern, they tag it, they store it. Next time a similar situation appears, the brain doesn't think. It recognizes. That's the difference between 10 years of experience and 1 year repeated 10 times. You want to learn faster? Stop consuming more. Start extracting more from what you already experience. But here's the thing though. Even with fast loops and deep patterns, most people still choke under pressure, and that's where the third weapon comes in. Hit subscribe before you forget the first 2. 1 more to go. Chapter 3, Stress Inoculation. Here's what nobody tells you. Your IQ drops 30% under stress. 30%. A study from the University of Bath proved it. Cortisol floods your prefrontal cortex. Your working memory shrinks. Complex thinking collapses. You become functionally stupid. That's why you blank during job interviews. That's why you forget your lines during presentations. That's why you panic when the deadline hits. Your brain literally shuts down the smart parts to fuel the survival parts. Fight or flight. Great for running from tigers, terrible for quarterly reviews. Fighter pilots solved this, not by eliminating stress, by training inside it. The military calls it stress inoculation training. You don't avoid the pressure, you practice under worse pressure than you'll ever face in real life. So when real pressure comes, your brain yawns. Navy pilots train in simulators where everything goes wrong simultaneously. Engine failure, missile lock, radio dead, wingman down. They practice making decisions while their heart rate is at 170 beats per minute, while alarms are screaming, while the world is ending. Then they go fly an actual mission and it feels calm by comparison. Their brain has already seen worse. The pattern library still works. The OODA loop still runs. Anders Ericsson, the guy who studied expert performance his entire career, found the same thing across every field. Elite performers don't just practice the skill, they practice the skill under conditions harder than performance. Musicians practice at faster tempos than concert speed. Surgeons practice on the hardest cases in simulation before touching a patient. Athletes train at altitude so sea level feels easy. Your version, study with distractions, present to a camera before presenting to your boss. Do mock interviews with someone who will grill you harder than any real interviewer. Set artificial deadlines tighter than real ones. Make practice harder than performance. Always. Here's the thing. Most people get backwards. They try to calm down before performing. Deep breaths, positive thinking, relax. Pilots don't do that. They reframe the arousal. Elevated heart rate doesn't mean you're scared. It means you're ready. The physiological response to fear and excitement is identical. Sweaty palms, racing heart, tunnel vision. The only difference is the label your brain assigns. Harvard researcher Alison Wood Brooks proved this. People told to say, I am excited before a stressful task outperformed people told to say, I am calm. Same stress, different label, completely different outcome. Stop trying to eliminate the pressure, rename it. You're not nervous, you're activated. Pilots aren't brave because they don't feel fear. They're brave because they train so hard that fear runs the same software as focus. To keep it simple, stupid. Preload your decisions with the OODA loop. Build pattern libraries through ruthless debriefing. Stress inoculate by making practice harder than reality. Boyd went from a bad student to the greatest tactical mind in military history, not because he was gifted, because he built a system that made his brain work like it was supposed to. You don't need a faster brain, you need a better operating system. By the way, I put all of this into a one-page system you can print. The OODA Loop Daily Planner, the debrief template, and the stress inoculation protocol. Link in the description. It's free. But here's the problem though. You can think fast, decide fast, perform under pressure, but if you can't remember what you learned last week, what's the point? Fast thinking with no memory is like a sports car with no gas tank. Looks impressive, goes nowhere. That's why I made this video breaking down exactly how to remember everything you learned permanently. It's almost unfair. Watch it next.